Focus back here when you get a chance. Wonderful. So, is there anything that you guys got when we were engaging?
I please want to go first because I don't know if I can even remember everything.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a long story. Okay, so first I saw this party in heaven, but it was wild. It was, do you know what a vuvuzela is?
Nope.
Yeah.
Homie, can you quickly tell them? It is the most awful musical instrument.
It- it's like it's built in a form of, I don't know, trumpet, but it's
Yes,
plastic.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's what the South African supporters they normally
rugby
blow this.
supporters.
Yeah, at the stadiums. It's like
It is the most awful sound. But anyway, it's our kind of like local um if you want to show your support for a group, you'll blow this thing at a stadium where it's very big so that the sound can go far. You can't blow it inside. It will make everybody go crazy. So this scene in the heavenly realm was these beings blowing vuvuzelas and those, those clocks that hang around the Swiss um, cows, those big goong, goong, goong clocks. They were making noises with these clocks, like bashing something against these clocks. I was like, what on earth is going on in heaven that you are throwing this big party? And they're saying that finally they've convinced me that they are real. And then I saw certain earthly scenes um, connect with certain heavenly scenes. So the first one was this morning. We had the South African Mossel Bay Triathlon. It's the Ironman. It's the most extreme half Ironman in the world because of the elevation and the sea and everything that we have. The combination of the race is just insane. So I got my friend's phone to track them and to take photographs of them. And I was standing with my feet in the water, so I was there at the water. And if 3,000 people dressed in black wetsuits with goggles on comes running at you with a cap on, they all look exactly the same. And the tracking app, because there were 3,000 supporters or more trying to log into the app froze. So the one moment the person that you look at is at the start and the next it's at the transition and you were like, I missed them. So I kept on missing everybody. I had about 16 people that I needed to cheer for and take photographs of, and they just came past me. I didn't even know that they came past me. And so when I missed everybody, except maybe two, at the second transition, I was kind of like, I'm not enjoying this. I don't know why I'm here. It's kind of like impossible to do this. And I was like, mm, heavenly beings, can you give me a spotter so that somebody can spot them for me and tell me, here they come, so I can take a picture of them and wave at them and shout their name. And then I was at the transition and the one person came and I took a picture of them coming in. I took a video coming in and into the transition area. When they came out, I was taking a video of them running out of the transition and into the running part. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
missed the most crucial people. I only saw 2 people. The rest I missed. And so from the third point that I was at, the lady that was standing next to me knew everybody in the team. And every time when somebody was approaching, she would shout, "There's this one, there's this one, there's that one." I got all of them.
Wow.
And then when we got home, I said to Dr. Francois, I was supposed to take photographs of him. He instructed me to take certain pictures of him at certain places. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't take one picture of you. I missed all of them." And then his phone was flat and he charged it and he looked at the photographs that I had taken of the other people. And he said, "You know, you got me. As the one was coming out of the transition, I came in and you got me all the way." And I'm like, "No way, I didn't even see that." And when he told me that, I was like, "Oh, you guys are so sharp."
That's so cool.
So I was very impressed with that. And then they reminded me that last weekend I went to this workshop and this lady was talking about um, the psychosomatic um, release when it comes to trauma, and she works with people dying and how she talks them through the process and how she had the son and the father, and the son was small. He was like, I can't remember, 7 years old. And in the end, when the father had passed away, she she asked the boy if they could meet the father in a place that was familiar for both of them. And the boy saw a dog, and he mentioned the name of the dog to his mom. And the dog that he saw was the same dog that the father had when he was a little boy, and it even had the same name.
That's cool.
And then in the end, she concluded that the things we see are real. And they reminded me about this whole thing about it's real. They are real. Yeah, so that was my brief encounter.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that stuff. Yeah.
My honor.
How about Patricia or Yachim? Did you get anything when we were engaging that you'd like to share?
Okay, he's gone. I guess I gotta be the one. So actually, when I started to go, I heard trumpets, and I actually saw like trumpets, like gold trumpets. And I thought, so that I was shocked when you were saying about these trumpets because it's not something that I usually think about. And what I heard was rolling out the carpet, and this is personal for me, but it was saying, "I will propel you into your destiny," basically. And I I could I either heard or I could see like gold. Um, and it told me that my time has come, and I felt like it was a coronation, like he was, putting the queen crown over me, and it was my coronation of this is it, releasing me. And he was saying to me, more wisdom has been imparted to you. And then, right about when you say, "Let's get back in," I saw candlesticks, um, light up candlestick, but then I couldn't get any more after that about what is going on with these candlesticks. But that's what I got.
Cool. Thank you.
And Him, I guess, is gone. What did he say?
He said the video is going in and out, but I'm still here. So yeah,
Okay.
is there
It's your turn
anything?
now.
Oh,
We can't
your
hear you.
sound
You
is not
mute.
on.
You muted.
Get out.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
It happens all the time when I'm engaging, when I'm joining the meeting with my phone. So yeah, when we engaged, I felt this peace, right? And with a peace, I heard governing over chaos, or having the peace of God in the midst of chaos and storms, in the midst of storms. I have that, and it felt like, because I'm easily distracted like that, like when something is happening around me, it's like it kind of like messes around with my peace. So it feels like it's something that the Lord wants to teach me how to be able to govern over chaos, or to still have His peace in the midst of storms.
Oh,
So that's
just like last night.
basically yeah. So it felt like that He's teaching me that, how to be able to, in the midst of everything, if I'm going through something rough, I'm still able to maintain His peace. Yeah, so that's what I felt, but I also felt something. Oh, there goes the video again. Oh Lord, hallelujah. We bless you for this moment. But also I felt this for Janina. I don't know how your work, but it feels like, I don't know whether it's the time that is coming, or, but I feel as if you are going to work a lot with Lady Wisdom, and somehow she's gonna teach you how to decode what human DNA and stuff like that, and she will help you a lot with the kind of work that you do. I don't know, you can seek the Father about that. Yeah, but
Well, thank you. I am going to need that a lot. So that's good for me to know. Thank you.
yeah, I think you should engage Lady Wisdom more, be intentional about it, and then yeah, things will happen.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this kind of peace that I felt, like I've been experimenting this week. Um, I've been experimenting a lot, and you know how the Hebrew language says you are breath. Breath is actually more than just the exchange of air in your lungs, right? It
Mm-hmm.
is actually the character of the individuals. And now the Lord gave me this scripture saying the wind blows wherever it wishes, and nobody can tell where it goes and where it is coming. So it's like, so are you. You are born of the wind. So I was engaging my breath and say, okay, God, just immerse my breath in your glory. Immerse my breath in different, around, like also in the river of fire and things like that. And somehow I would feel the build up. It's like the build up of the power of God in my spirit. And I remember is the feeling that I had many times. I think last week we spoke about how, you know, God will just overtake my language, and I was other tongues. We're speaking a lot about other tongues with Christine and everyone. And so with me, the Lord did that with me without asking me. It's like and I will speak in tongues. But there was a time where I felt, most of the time I will feel like I'm getting light and light, and it's like I'm going to be levitated, right?
Yes.
And this other night, it just took charge of my body. They were about to break in the church and were sleeping there. It just took charge of my body, and this language came out of my mouth. And I went to the door where the butlers, where the criminals are about to come in. And they heard this funny language coming out of my mouth, and they ran away.
Mhm. That's
And it happened the second time. He took charge of my body, and it's like he suspended me in the air. And it's like he was showing, I mean, these are crazy stuff. And it's like he was showing me what he's going to do with me in the future. So he was just giving me a taste of it. So
yeah.
it's like he levitated. I was suspended in the air, and he started showing me stuff. So this is the build up of his power within me. It was more like that when I engage God with my breath and say, God, immerse my breath in your glory. Immerse my true essence, who I am, my breath, in the river of life and whatever, and things like that. So it was quite a cool experience that I had this week.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. The good thing is that we can talk about these things here. Not anywhere else.
That's
Yeah, you
true.
must just also mention that in South Africa, we've got some high caliber criminals. They don't run away from anybody.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, they don't. They don't. Yeah, so that was actually amazing that God would actually took charge like of my language and also of my body. And he will use my body like that, and to prevent certain things from happening to me. And it was actually nice. I'm actually excited about the future.
Hey, that's great. Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I feel like we are supposed to transition into what we're talking about today, even though we usually go over homework. I hope we'll have time at the end. I think we probably
Mhm.
will. But I want to start talking about what we're talking about today because I feel like each of you kind of touched on it without knowing about it. um, let me just say this. The topic is inner healing, which is no, strange thing for any of us here, right? Um, but I want to give a little bit different perspective on it, if that's okay. Here's what the Lord was showing me as we were engaging. All right. Has anyone here been triggered by something and it really bothers you? I'm sure I'm not the only one. Okay, so somebody does something to you and it pisses you off.
Oh,
Or
yes.
somebody does something to you and you feel like, oh, I'm the worst, or whatever. You can have a million different reactions, but something someone does
Hmm.
triggers an emotional response, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
This is where often people say, you made me feel this way,
Yeah.
which we all know is actually an immature response. No one can make you feel any way. You either feel that way or you don't, and it's because of your own
Yeah.
problems.
Insecurity.
Right. And so
Mhm.
the thing is, when you get triggered in any way, it's like a little flag saying, hey, I need healing. Okay.
Mhm.
The thing is, most of us don't understand that, or maybe we do to an extent, but we still have a tendency to blame other people for how we feel or whatever. And
Mhm.
oftentimes, people will run away from the healing because the feelings are too big.
Yeah.
Um, when you feel something, it's too scary, or it is too sad, or it's just too much to where then you try to turn off the feeling to be able to handle yourself, right?
Mhm.
Instead of actually using that as an opportunity to do the inner healing, to do the work.
Yes.
Here's what I propose. As people who are ministers, all of us here are ministers of some sort. That's why we're in this whole class. Okay. We're kings and priests. If we are, we have to deal with our own junk. We have to. If we
Yes.
don't, we will not be able to heal others. It is so important. So here's what I want you to, okay, I'm going to use an example. For most of my life, I have been allergic to cats. Okay. So, when cats are around me, I will start itching and sneezing and coughing. All my eyes are watering. It's just a response that my body has. And it's because I didn't know this till much later, but it's because for years I would take antihistamines to suppress that. Okay. So most of us are taught, well, maybe not in South Africa, I have no idea, but I can speak for the United States. In the United States, people say, take Claritin, take Zyrtec, whatever it is, take an antihistamine, take Benadryl, take it to make that symptom stop. But what that does is it makes your body not process the problem. And so it builds up in your system. And so over the years, you get more and more allergic to cats. Okay. So more and more and more allergic to cats until I started to use essential oils. And I realized, I don't know if I learned this or if it was revelation. I don't know. But either way, now I know. When you use these certain essential oils to help with your allergies, these oils help your body to process the stuff to get out. So it helps the response, but it also helps you process it to where eventually you have no more response. So now I can be around cats and not have the response because I've been using these to get the junk out. Okay, so it's these toxins in my body that are in there that have to come out, right? So when we have trauma and we stuff it over and over and over, it gets to where we are more and more and more allergic to whatever it is. Okay. And honestly, this is a spiritual problem because what will happen is if I have unresolved stuff and I haven't been able to process it, I think I'm fine. I'm going around my life functioning just like normal until I engage with Patricia. And Patricia has some sort of common thing come up in her own life that I'm trying to help her through. And all of a sudden, I get attacked because of her attack. Because we have this common thing that I haven't dealt with. And so either I get attacked or the Lord says, sorry, you can't have a part in this healing. And so I'm at a little impasse where I'm stuck. And sometimes I know why I'm stuck, and sometimes I don't know why I'm stuck. But what I've learned is now I love these little triggers. So I used to hate the triggers and go, oh, this makes me feel terrible. But now I go, why am I feeling terrible? And so then I can go, oh, I have something to deal with. This is an opportunity for healing. And so I look at inner healing as an opportunity where I used to look at it as too much to go through. And so how I used to respond is a very immature response. It's one of those that means I haven't grown up enough to see that healing is good for me, that healing is good. And so when you realize how good the healing is, you kind of get excited about these stupid responses you have. When I get
Yeah.
mad at somebody, I go, oh, shoot, what does that mean? Why did I get so mad at that? Okay, let's deal with this, Lord. Show me what's inside of me that needs to come out. Where's the root of this? And so it's really important that we deal with our own stuff so that we can then help others. Because if we don't, we get stuck and we come to this point where we freeze and we aren't able to move forward. And it can be
Yeah.
very bad for us in our own lives in fulfilling our destinies, but it's also then helping other people get stuck. Because
Wow.
if you're stuck and you're affecting me, then I can get stuck. And then if I'm helping somebody else, then they can be stuck. And it can be a very bad domino effect. Or the opposite can happen. If you go, oh, I'm triggered, what is it? Let's get some healing. You get healed. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, this came up with me. I can help you get healed. And then that person goes, oh, that came up with me. I can help you get healed. And all of a sudden it is the opposite effect in a good way. And so we have to be able to recognize when these things come up, and especially as healers and ministers. And I'm thinking, Janina, all day you have been doing kingdom work, which I'm sure means doing healing work, right? Is this what you've been doing?
No.
No, not even healing work, just the Iron Man stuff.
I was at the Iron Man.
Okay. Well, then it doesn't really apply to that. But let's just say you're doing healing
But
work.
the day before and tomorrow I will be.
Okay. Well, one thing I have learned, like I just did the Refresh conference, right? You guys know that.
Yes.
This was awesome. It was so good, of course.
Lovely.
But I did a whole ton of pouring out. I really did. And I also got really exhausted. Now, one thing I've learned is even exhaustion for me is a little trigger. So what that means is I go, okay, why was I exhausted instead of energized? Why? I mean, this is something it's important to ask. Was I doing more than I should? Did I not take Sabbath, which I didn't? Okay. There wasn't Sabbath because it was during Sabbath. There are certain things. Why was I not operating in the spirit? Was I operating out of my flesh? Because these are things that really matter. If I am trying to get things done and I'm not operating in the spirit, I'm not going to be energized by what I'm doing. I'm going to be drained by what I'm doing. I also know in my soul, I'm an introvert. So, and most people don't believe I'm an introvert because they think introvert means shy. That's not true. What introvert really means is I gain energy by being by myself or by being with a very small group of people. When I'm around a lot of people, I exert energy. So an extrovert is someone who gains energy by being around a lot of people, and they get drained when they're by themselves. And so for me, I know I'm an introvert. So that means that I can still exert all the energy, but I have to have time to recharge. And this is something that's very important. So after Refresh Conference was over, everyone thought everything was over, which is true for most people. But then there's me, who still has these people in town who want to be taken everywhere. And, and I got to give a ride to this person and do this. And then I have to go deliver this stuff. And so for me, I was still running, still going around people on, if you will. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say I was fake, but you're like trying to be friendly and exerting your energy, right? And so I was still exerting and exerting and exerting. And I was trying to get back to work, which is my daily, like, meeting with people, healing people, whatever. And thankfully, I had someone in my life who said to me, hey, you need to block off your calendar for the rest of the week. And I'm like, I can't. I have a family to support. I have to work. I took all of last week off so I could do the Refresh conference. I have to work. And as soon as I said that, and as soon as that came out of my mouth, the Lord just taught me. And he just said, how are you supposed to pour out if you have nothing to give? And it was very like, you have to rest.
Wow.
Your provision is in me. I have you. And I'm like, huh, okay. And so then I was like, sorry, I'm really bad at boundaries. You're right. I need to block off my time. So I blocked off the rest of my week. And of course, I still had people who were trying to take it over anyway. But in general, I got a lot more time to rest, refocus, get to where I needed to be. And that little thing, it didn't mean I needed a ton of deep trauma work. It just meant I need to pay attention to why I'm reacting like this so I can get the healing I need. My healing just needed to happen through rest and being with the Lord. That's it.
Awesome.
Recharging my batteries, watching The Good Doctor on Hulu, like it was just silly, but I needed just time to not be peopling. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
And so whenever you see, say for instance, Yachim, you're like, I need to hurt somebody outside because they're playing the music too loud. Okay. Then automatically you go, oh, interesting response, Yachim. And you can say, why am I feeling this way? Because they're having fun outside or whatever, right? Oh, I'm not getting enough rest. What do I need to do? Or whatever, you can use that as a little flag to say, I have to pay attention to this.
Yes.
The most this is what I think. If you ever find yourself doing the opposite of the fruits of the Spirit, okay? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. If you ever find yourself doing the opposite of these things, it doesn't mean you need to whip yourself into shape. It is a very good warning sign you're not in the Spirit, because these are fruits of being in the Spirit. Fruits of the Spirit. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means, there's a little flag going up. You need to get back in the Spirit. And so it's very important to see these things and not self-condemn because you're doing something wrong. Or, oh, I'm acting this way. Why am I cowering in fear over this? Don't condemn yourself for cowering in fear. Use it as a warning sign, because that's what your whole being is doing. It's communicating with you. Warning, warning, I need help here. And so please don't neglect to listen to these things.
Yes. Awesome.
If you are in relationship with somebody and things get yucky and difficult, go, oh, what's happening? Why am I reacting this way? Because some of our closest relationships are what bring out the worst in us. But what that is a good thing. It's so that we can get healed. Those things come out when we are our most vulnerable. And so then we can go, oh, we can skim that off the top. You ever have, I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I'll cook meat. And then after it has sat there and gotten cool, the fat comes to the top and it has little junk on it. And so you can just skim that off and then it's nicer underneath. Sometimes that's what a relationship does with us. It cooks and it just makes things come to the surface that you don't even know is there until it starts to cool off. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, that's what needs to be scraped off. And so be sure that you get your time with the Lord when you have reactions to be able to do that. If you find yourself scared, sad, mad, rejected, whatever it is. Yeah.
Wow.
I know it's just inner healing. This is like something we all deal with. But it is so important in being a mature priest. I would say for our priestly duties, that's what this talk is about. because
Mm.
if we don't allow ourselves to do the inner work, we can't do it on other people. When we do, we will only get drained and attacked if we haven't dealt with our own stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I was, well, I was in this nutrition company, and I earned a trip to Hollywood. Well, you guys don't know this about me, but Hollywood is gross to me. I have never wanted to go to Hollywood. That has never been like, ooh, cool. That's like, that's how I feel about it. And so I was not excited to win this trip. And in fact, I thought, I'm not going. And the Lord said, you need to go.
Mhm.
Okay. So now I'm on mission, is what I know. Okay. I'm going on mission somehow, even though I earned this fancy trip, whatever. And we went to a different place in California first, did a little meetup with people, had a little mini conference, and it was great. And I thought maybe that's why I'm here. And then when we went into Hollywood, as soon as we went in, I started getting all sorts of sick. I mean, oh, I was sick. I was dizzy. I was having like
Mm.
the worst diarrhea stuff happening, all sorts of weird things. And all around us, everywhere around us, was all sorts of bad stuff. I mean, over here's the big Mason thing. Across the street over here is this giant witch house. And then over here is, I mean, just everything was, oh, this is for the sun god, and constant things all around. And um,
Uh,
what was really interesting is that when we were there, the hotel we were staying at was attached to this big theater. And it's the theater that they always roll out all of the movies at. Okay. So when you go and see a premiere, it's at this theater. And I don't know why, but when I went up there, I was very tempted to go watch this movie that I would never normally watch. And I could just feel this isn't normal for me, like I don't usually feel this. And the Lord just immediately showed me I have something in common with this place. And it's something that was inside of me that I had never dealt with. And these triggers that were happening was for my benefit. So I would know that I needed to get this help. So what happened is I entered this territory where there were these territorial spirits there who now had access to me because I hadn't dealt with that junk inside that I had a common thing with, which is wild. And so it's funny that the Lord brought me to this kind of evil place to help me get through all this junk. And I didn't even realize this is what was going on until it's time to leave and go to the airport. And I am like, I don't know how I can leave. I have to stay close to a toilet. I mean, just driving half an hour to the airport, I'm not going to be able to make it because I'm going to the bathroom every 5 minutes. And we're like, okay, we got to go. What do we do? Okay, I guess we just got to find places to stop. And as soon as we exited the city limits into the next city, everything went away and it was totally normal. And that was when it was like, whoa, this was a territorial spirit. I didn't get that. I'm thinking I was at the point. Oh, here's Janina. Janina, I'm going to squirt you with a water gun. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I appreciate
You really
that.
can rest. It won't bother me. Okay. You can rest in the Lord and we will give you grace for it.
It's far too exciting to listen to you.
I don't know if I believe you. Okay.
In between the advertisement snippets.
Yes. Well, so I left this place and I realized that the main reason was for my inner healing to be there. Before that, I was under the impression that I could go anywhere in the world and I was the victor. And the Lord showed me that's not the case if you still have junk that you haven't dealt with. And so
Wow.
I want everyone to understand that we have a responsibility as priests and as kings to
Mm-hmm.
actually do the work, to really go after it, to be diligent about doing the work, and to pay attention, even keep a journal. Why did I get triggered at this thing? Like today, this person really ticked me off. What? Why? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not a problem with them. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
do you remember me telling you? I'm sure you do, but do you remember me telling you about when I went to the throne room for the first time and the Lord told me I was an intercessor and I was like, oh, I'm not worthy. And he's like, you don't tell me if you're worthy. I tell you if you're worthy, right? Well, it
Yeah.
changed everything in me with this feeling of unworthiness that I didn't even realize I had. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize that that was a problem for me until it wasn't a problem anymore. And
Yeah.
after that, I had this lady, I may have told you this, but I had this lady who literally said, you're not worthy of helping people with this stuff. And it did not faze me one bit. It did not, I did not think, oh, that jerk. Oh, how dare she? No, it was just like, huh, well, that wasn't from the Lord. It was such an easy response. Normally, I would go
Mm-hmm.
cry in the corner. Oh, why am I, and no,
Mm.
it didn't because now there wasn't something that could trigger me. Now that was
Yes.
dealt with. I had the healing in my heart from the Lord. And so then when someone said you're not worthy, it just rolled right off of me. Like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
not from the Lord. I don't accept that. It was such an easy thing compared to when I have these reactions that it causes a lot of pain. That means something isn't dealt with inside of me. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we can get to the point where we have that genuine healing, we won't have those responses we once had. And you can tell sometimes people are very good at hiding their responses, but you can tell on the inside if you're responding. You know,
Mm. Yes.
I'm not so easy at hiding everything. I'm a person that you can generally see it on my face. If I'm disgusted with you, you'll
Yeah.
know. Um, but at the same time, if you're good at hiding it, you still have to deal with it because
Yeah.
stuffing it down does not make it better.
Mm.
It only makes it worse.
That's true. And you know what I've learned in the last 2 weeks or so is that, we think it's such a complicated process to deal with this stuff, and it's actually so easy. Sometimes we just need to acknowledge the emotion. It's just
Mm.
it's just realizing it is enough to
Mm.
set us free. It's
Mm.
that easy.
You know, um, Here's what I've learned that sometimes it's very easy like that. And sometimes it just takes us having that realization that it's happening. Other
Mm.
times it's so hard that we can't deal with it on our own. It is not
Mm.
even possible.
That's true.
Um, that's why it's important to have other people who can help us through, which you guys know. I mean, I don't need to tell you, but I'll help anybody. If you guys need help, I'm here. I'm here for it. Unless the Lord says, nope, you can't do it, which he might, but most likely I'll be able to help you through stuff. Um,
Awesome.
the Make sure though that whoever you're going to, that it's who the Lord is leading you to, and it's not just a good idea.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
a lot of times we want the quick fix. So we want okay, show me the pill to take, lay hands on me, whatever, get it done. And it's not
Mm.
always that simple. There are
Yes.
times when I help people where their mind, their conscious mind literally cannot handle going to the places that the Lord needs to go to heal. Their brain has said, this is too dangerous. You can't think of it. It happens to a lot of people with major trauma. That's why it's important to have people like us, that we can go into the places that they can't see, that they can't go into, that we can deal with it for them and with the Lord and help the healing and change the narrative and all of that. And so you need to know, hey, I had this trauma. I don't even know where it came from. I can't get to the root of it. If you are struggling to get to the root of something like that, there are people who can help. I know Janina does it every day. I know I do this every day. Make sure that you find someone who can really help, and try very hard not to neglect it. Let me tell you, we all have different things we do to try to avoid. I'm going to give you a couple examples of what I do, and I'm not proud of, by the way. Okay, I'm not proud of why I do this or how I do this, but this is what I do sometimes to avoid. If I have very, very big feelings, so I process small feelings really well. I do. I mean, you guys probably seen me cry 1 million times, right? I cry several times a day because I deal with feelings. I process through them. That's what I do. I process through most feelings pretty easily. But I am such a feeler that if the feelings get too big, my body says, you can't handle this. And so I go into self-preservation mode, and I do things to try to mask the feelings so that they won't be as big. But when I do this, I am not dealing with that trauma response. I'm stuffing it. It's getting worse. It's like taking an antihistamine. Okay. So one of the things I do is I play games on my phone. This is something when I have too big of feelings, I get on my phone and I start playing these mindless games, because it's like I'm processing two things at once. And so it makes it easier for me to deal with the feelings. I used to think that was healthy, and the Lord showed me it's avoidance is what that is. I'm avoiding. Even though I'm still processing, I'm not processing fully, and I'm avoiding. I do that sometimes. I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to especially do that with food. I would have body pain, and I would think, I deserve to eat something and make me feel better. Makes no sense. Makes no sense, but I would do that. And it's so silly, but I would go, I deserve to feel better. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so I would run to things like that. Sometimes I run to other people instead of to the Lord. So I will run over to someone for comfort. I will say, I need you. Will you please pray over me? It's basically being whiny is what I'm doing, because I haven't first gone to the Lord myself. Now, if you go to the Lord yourself and you need extra help, by all means, go to someone else. But for me, it's an avoidance thing. I am trying to avoid dealing with it myself by having someone deal with it for me. And so you guys, you'll know what your things are. Everybody's is a little different. Everyone has their own little vices and things they run to, but try to recognize these things. Am I running from my big feelings? Because if you're running from your big feelings, you are not dealing with your big feelings, and you are only causing yourself more pain and others more pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I asked the Lord, is it about a month or 2 months when he started taking me into the conscious whatever mind stuff, and I said, Lord, sometimes I get stuck, like, what is happening? I don't know. What is the root of that? And then he started showing me stuff, and then triggers. especially this is exactly what you are saying. When he shows me things that are triggering me, I will see it as an opportunity to allow him in those areas so that he can heal me.
Mm-hmm.
And as he is dealing with these things, and the other thing was like, I don't know, I thought I'm wired like that, but I thought as well, I thought, process, I don't take process very well. It's like, I want to
Take
do
what
something now.
very well?
Like, process, like, it's like when I do something, I want it like to happen now,
Oh, pauses.
instead
Are you
of
saying pauses?
No, process.
process, process,
The process
process,
of going through, it might
going
take
through.
5 days,
I
five
see.
years. He wants it to happen
Yeah,
right now. So he has a
yeah,
hard time with the
you
process.
know,
Process.
yeah. Uh, oh, oh, oh,
It took another
oh,
foreigner to translate for another foreigner.
even with healing, when I do things like that, it's like, especially when I'm exercising my authority, it's like, okay, let this be this and that, and at times somebody won't get healed, and at times things will be a person will be healed. But with that, I knew that is now, because now one is functioning from the heavenlies. It's like you have to see what the Lord wants you to do. You
Exactly.
just imitate him instead of being moved by emotions when somebody is sick, and it's like, okay, let me pray for you without asking the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I think we dealt with that. I think we dealt with that a long time ago with this Christian witchcraft, trying to do things out of your own authority without consulting the Lord and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, so with a process thing, it's like, ah, you know, I cannot be wired like this. This is weird. You know, in life is all about these processes, and you have to go through something. You have to go through a season. You have to go through this and that, and come on the other side. Yeah, but the Lord started showing me these things and started pinpointing these things, and and with this home mix, um, which is funny, because I wanted to ask you about this thing. When I was doing the homework, uh, it's like um, it was more of an advice, where my heavenly team told me that sugar lowers my frequency. So, and the other thing, and it was funny because I have a sweet tooth, right? I love sweet stuff. And at that moment, I was drinking something sweet. It's like sugar, lowers your frequency, and also what to do to deal with things like that. So, engaging my mountain and engaging these living letters and releasing them over my mountain so that I can vibrate in accordance with their resonant frequencies. And I've been doing that ever since. And I feel like my frequency is like changing. And normally I will drop low. But this time, last night, I was so agitated by these guys, and I was so surprised that I wasn't really depleted. My frequency was not really that depleted, and I could bounce back again and things like this. So I wanted to ask you about that. So I thought, did I hear right? Oh, what is happening with this engaging living letters over your mountain, and so that you can vibrate in their, you know, uh, in accordance with their all that. So yeah, that
Oh,
was.
of course, that's good. I mean, I'll tell you, this is something that I started doing a long time ago. I'm not even sure how it happened, but every day um when I was commanding my day, okay, one of the things
Mhm.
that the Lord would always have me do is I would see these curses over my mountain, and I would tear them down, like literally with my hands, tear them down to the ground. And then the Lord would have me, I would always kind of swipe across the atmosphere of my mountain, and the Hebrew living letters would come across um, the atmosphere of my mountain to replace the curses with Father's blessings. And I don't know what they were doing or saying or anything. It was just I saw them coming across in these like gold glowing sort of letters. And
Mhm.
I didn't realize what was happening, but it's the same. Think of this. Okay. We've talked about this before, might have been recently, but have you ever seen the experiment that's done with two plants where you have one plant that you speak all this terrible stuff to, and then another plant that's speaking life and love and all that. And then this one
Ye-
dies and it's horrible. This one is flourishing and being better than ever before, right? And this
mhm.
is just a natural, that is something that happens in the natural. It's because
Yes.
of the frequency. And
Mhm.
if we have the blessings of the Lord come over the atmosphere of our lives, it is
Mhm.
a way better frequency than all these curses that either we put or other people put on us. And I
Awesome.
mean, I would say I am most guilty of putting these things on myself.
Mm.
The curses that are over my mountain are generally from myself, from me. I say some of the worst things about myself. And honestly, I don't even notice I do it until I have someone around me going, "Why did you say that?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I guess that wasn't very wise," or I'll try to defend why I said something stupid. And, this is something that I have a tendency to do is I'll say things about myself and I'm cursing myself all the time. And so
Mhm.
it is wise for me to every day focus on taking the curses off of my mountain and getting the blessings of the Lord on my mountain. And so the Hebrew living letters have a really big part of that for me. Um, and so I think
Yeah.
what you're doing is wonderful. It's a totally different way of doing it, and it's still just as wonderful. So, however the Lord leads, do it. I
Yeah.
mean, don't question, is this really right? If the Lord is leading, it's going to be right. And
Awesome.
even if it's never been done before, and I
Yeah.
don't have to hear of something for it to be right. The
Yeah.
Lord has done way more things than I could ever imagine. And
Yeah.
he's going to continue to surprise us over and over about how he does stuff. And so, yeah, go with it. If he's leading you, do it. And if it's changing your frequency, yay, it is a testimony of the Lord's wonderful working in your life. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been kind of like engaging the Lord in this, these different uh, uh, areas of my subconscious mind, because really it's all about healing. The Lord has been doing a lot of healing with me and with his triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when he reveals a trigger to me, then I will allow him in just to deal with it.
That's awesome.
And it has been, yeah, and I've seen that when you allow him in, you function better, and it's like you are more liberated.
Mm,
There's more freedom. It's, something is being lifted off you. It's like it's so nice,
yes. Okay.
so beautiful.
So we have definitely talked about recognizing the triggers. Um, let's talk
Mhm.
about recognizing the glimmers. The glimmers are the good things that the Lord does and the things that you see. And if you notice these glimmers and you give praise to the Lord for them, everything about you will continue to heal. Because Thanksgiving, when you are thankful, it leaves no room for anxiety. It's not possible physically. I think we've talked about this before. The same part in your brain that deals with gratitude deals with anxiety. So if you are anxious, you are not feeling thankful and gratitude. If you are feeling gratitude, you are not feeling anxious. So if you find yourself in anxiety, start being thankful. But if we can make gratitude something that we notice, like we notice the glimmers of the Lord, we notice when he's working, we notice, oh, somebody said that, and that's what the Lord was just speaking to me about, or whatever it is. Oh, look at this beautiful flower and how he created it. I mean, whatever it is, when we can do those, when we can see him and be grateful and engage with the Lord, even just briefly about it, it will keep us in that state of healing and at a higher frequency. And so I recommend that we not only learn to recognize the triggers, but we learn to recognize the glimmers, that those glimmers are something that we pay equal attention to, the ways that we've healed. Oh, wow, I didn't respond like I usually do. This is awesome. Thank you, Lord. You know, recognize the good things. I'll tell you what, quick testimony. Probably won't mean anything to any of you guys. Maybe to you, Patricia. But anyway, let me just tell you. There is this product that I started taking called Fix. And my one of my friends, my doctor friends, she's the one who hit me up and told me all about it. And I was like, oh, whatever, another thing. And I was just dismissing her. And then my sister got involved and she's like, Christine, I do everything you want. You need to do something that I want. Okay, fine, Kim. So I start taking the stuff and I'm like, whatever. I don't know if it's even going to help. And the one thing that's really interesting is this is a very, very new thing. It's actually ancient, but the part of it that is being used has never been used before. It is part of the hops flower extract that is the gamma part of the acid in it. And so this is something that only the alpha and beta parts have ever been able to be extracted to be used. And so this new part is something that's brand new and hasn't been used before. Well, anyway, so they're finding all sorts. They're finding all sorts of things happening with it health-wise that wasn't expected. And so anyway, before I started it, I'm just like, oh, maybe it'll make me feel less hungry or something. You know, I don't know. I didn't have any good expectations. Oh, well, maybe down the road it'll help with some of this because it's supposed to really target the visceral fat, the fat that's around your organs first. And what's been happening has been really crazy stuff for people. And the funny thing is, right before I started, I was having such major, major problems with adrenals and heart palpitations and blood sugar stuff, all sorts of things. And I was meeting with Camille, who's another doctor friend of mine, and I was saying, what do I do for my adrenals? This is getting really serious. I'm afraid I'm going to have a heart attack. That's how bad it was getting. And she said, oh, take these other things. And what has been really cool is that I stopped having all of these adrenal problems. I stopped having all of that once I started taking the Fix. But I'll tell you what the sad part is. I did not even notice. I did not notice that it was better, even though I was dealing with it a few times a day. I did not even notice it was better until someone else gave a testimony about stuff that I was just like, wait a second, hasn't even been going on. I can't believe I haven't had it. You know what? I'm telling you, I've had a lot of things like this that I don't even notice the glimmers. I don't notice the good things. I only notice the bad things. So I'm noticing every day when I'm hurting and when I'm having scary times, but I'm not noticing when I'm totally fine and I'm having no pain. I don't even notice. And I think that we have to change, and testimony helps. The way that I've listened to people's testimonies and gone, oh, wait, me too. I didn't even notice. We have to do that for each other. we have to give testimony about things so that we go, wait, me too. Oh my gosh, I've grown like crazy actually. Oh, I felt like I wasn't growing at all, but now I'm not doing that weird crap anymore. Kind of like the food thing I was telling you was one of my things I used to go to. I don't do that anymore. Praise the Lord. I don't ever turn to that anymore. That's awesome. I don't know when it stopped, but somewhere along the line, I got healed and I haven't been doing that. I haven't done that for quite a long time. And so we need to have testimony sometimes with each other to be able to recognize the glimmers. Otherwise, it will just pass us by and we'll still be like, my life sucks. I'm no good. When that's not actually the truth. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of healing. And we have to be able to have each other to recognize it sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
It's important. We don't even notice how well we are sometimes just because we're not sick.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? You're talking about your frequency usually going low. I'll bet it took something like that to happen for you to go, hey, it's not really affecting me the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually many things like that I see that the Lord has done, like with many triggers that I had. When I come across certain things that will usually trigger me, it's like they don't anymore.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful to recognize these glimmers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess my challenge to you guys, and maybe I'll put this in the homework, but this week, try to recognize your triggers and deal with them. And then also try to recognize the glimmers and be grateful. And I would recommend writing these things down because triggers, you'll forget that you were triggered and not deal with it. Glimmers, you'll forget that something great happened and not be thankful for it. So write them down. Oh my gosh, this happened. Even if you just do it every day and you write down triggers and glimmers, you know, what are things that have triggered me? And then even you can look back and go, huh, that didn't really trigger me. Yay, it's a glimmer, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
You sounded like you had a question.
Me.
Yeah. You ended on like you had a question.
Yeah, last night, like or this morning, early in the morning, like yeah, the neighbor started using some name calling, I don't know, against my mom and all that. And really, I was very angry. I wanted to wake up and just go there and just to set the record straight. But then, like I'm angry. Like it's like, Lord, I'm so angry. Please help me. I told him, it's like, please help me. I'm so angry. you know, and what I did, normally when I'm feeling like some type of way, I will just engage the Father. It's like, okay, I just want to engage your heart, just embrace me, and from that point, I will just be able to like calm down, But yesterday I was very angry and I wanted to go and address this thing, but I chose not to. It's like, I'm gonna choose not to, and I just engage fathers, like embrace me and just focused on. I'm not a confrontational person, really. I don't like confronting people, but it was going on like all night, and this person, specific person, was screaming and shouting and doing all these things. And like, Lord, I'm angry, help me. You could recognize that, and I said, okay, please do something about it. Help me through this. And he really did. And in the morning, I just greeted them, say, good morning, and all that, as if they've done nothing wrong.
So let me ask you, because this is what it sounds like to me, and I'm not saying it's the truth, but I wonder if this is what's happened. Because I was dealing with very similar sort of feelings like that, where for me it was with my ex-husband, and he would do something and I would run to the Father to get like comfort and healing and not act like a dummy because I wanted to react. and um and so then I'd be okay and then I wouldn't react, but then he would do something else and I would have the exact same reaction. And I think for me, what I wasn't doing is going back to try to find the root of why I felt like that to begin with.
Yes.
Why is this affecting me like this anyway?
Yeah.
So perhaps you could go to the Lord even now when you're not feeling like that, and go,
Yeah.
okay, what's the root of this? Why do I feel
Yeah.
like I need to set the record straight? Am I feeling like I wasn't defended? What is,
Yeah.
like, what is it that's making me need to do that?
Exactly.
You know?
That's nice. Yeah, last night a thought came and said maybe I should focus on this and see why I'm acting like that, because really I'm really conscious of what the Lord is doing in terms of inner healing in my
Mhm.
life. So I kind of like, okay, highlighted that. It's like maybe there is something here. I mean, there is something there. That's why I felt like that.
Yeah.
So it's something that I am gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you know you are not that kind of person. It's like
Right.
I'm not a person who will normally like wanna confront or set the record straight about something. You know,
Yeah.
what am I going to get out of it after saying that? Am I gonna feel good about it? What's the reward?
Right.
What
And it's
you
probably not
know?
going to change them much. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So there is something there that is looking for um restitution or retribution. Like you're like, I something has to be changed. I'm looking for something out of this. And so, yeah. Anyway, I I think that a lot of times we will um need to get comfort from the Father in the moment like that, but then
Mhm.
forget to go further and do the further work. You know what I mean? And it's not really work. It's just going, hey, Lord, show me. Let's deal with this. We don't really do much of anything except for just submit ourselves to Him. Um,
Yes.
but, but we need to remember to do it, because when we do have those times that we run to the Father so that we don't have a complete breakdown and so we don't act stupid and all of this, it is the right thing to do, to run to the Father,
Hmm.
to have Him fill that place for us. But then we
Yes.
need to go further when it's calmed down, when that meat has cooled and the fat comes to the surface, then it can be
Yeah.
scraped off, right? So,
Exactly. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
okay. Any other questions or comments? I can see Janina is still struggling to stay awake. Poor
Yeah,
girl.
but
I'm so sorry.
I'm
I
trying to write some notes, and sometimes I just have this long line on my paper.
That's hilarious.
sorry, homie.
Well,
And it's hot.
Long
It's
day.
very hot. And it's very hot as well in South Africa. Is it
It
hot where
was
you are?
very hot. It was.
Yeah.
hmm,
So it can make you really tired. This heat is.
yeah. Yeah, you're both wearing long sleeve shirts, I think, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the coast, it's always cool in the evening because we have the big aircon,
Yeah.
Hmm?
the sea.
Yes. Hmm,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Beautiful.
Cool.
You
Well,
know,
go ahead.
it's interesting to me, Janina, what you shared about that race, because what comes to my mind is race of life. And truthfully, we all pressing toward that coronation, that that race of life, and this fruits of the spirit is part of the race, basically. Come up higher for each of us to get that crown from the Lord.
Mm.
It's very interesting.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Going on right now.
I had a moment today at the race when, I've been looking out for 16 people among 3,000 people. And, if somebody has a helmet on and, the new sunglasses are so big, they cover all the way from the nose to where the helmet is. So you have somebody's head covered and then these glasses, you just see the legs and how they mount off the bike. And this is how you would recognize somebody. And that's not that easy, especially if they come in with such great speed. The moment you recognize them, they're already gone. And I just had this glimpse from the Father saying to me, I see you among everybody on the earth. It's not difficult for me to see you. It was so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful.
When you were
And you
talking
said,
about that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Patricia.
sorry. And then when you were explaining what was happening earlier, Janina, you said something really that got my attention. It was, and when I saw they were going into some place and they were getting transformed, and basically, I'm like, that's what the race of life kicked in for me. And I think it was maybe that they were taking off clothes or something like that to go to the next thing. But isn't
Yes.
that funny? That's the race of life, how we let stuff off ourselves, so to speak, to go into the next stage and then wear another outfit, so to speak, maybe hopefully lighter.
Wow, that's actually quite profound because, they would come out of the sea,
Yeah,
then go on the bike. So they would take off their wetsuit and their
yeah,
cap, their goggles, and they put on sunglasses and a helmet
yeah,
and get on a bicycle.
yeah.
And then they come back and they drop the bicycle and they put the running shoes on.
Wow.
But what's very interesting is that, with the type of cleats they were wearing on the bicycle, you can't run with that stuff. It's got this thick thing underneath the ball of the foot that makes it severely uncomfortable. So most people would either take off the shoes and go barefoot, but by then the tar is so hot it burns them. Or they just run on this very uncomfortable shoes, but most people will then choose to walk. So there's a certain line, and when you get to the line, you have to get off the bicycle and you have to walk or run or whatever you want to do to get into the transition area.
Yeah,
So the analogy that you're using is very interesting. I didn't think about it, but you are putting on the gear that you
yeah,
use for that discipline. And then
yes,
when you come in, it's almost a difficult time because you're in between two, and there
hmm,
are certain rules that you have to follow. You can't cycle into the transition area. You have to run into it with next to your bicycle.
yeah. That is interesting. And then you said that you wear the helmet, which is the helmet of salvation, and then the goggles is vision. But the
Yeah.
but the shoes now the shoes of peace, the one of the Romans, it's the when Paul was describing that there were the Romans shoes of peace, and they were kind of thick underneath actually, and they had like spikes underneath with the intent to really for whenever they go on the terrain, the spikes will keep them on the terrain steady and they could advance. So they're called the shoes of peace. It's kind of interesting what you saw up there, this race and all the things that, connect to our walk with the Lord and our race for life, really. So,
Yes. Yes.
Mm, like it.
Nice.
Sorry, Christine. I cut you off so many times. You go ahead, darling.
Oh, I don't know what I was talking about. It's fine.
Don't
Ah,
let us catch you falling asleep.
No, not yet. All right. Well, let me ask, is there anything about your homework from last week about embodying your heavenly being? Is there anything about that that you really got a lot out of, or you had questions about, or anything like that?
Hmm.
no. Embody my heavenly being. I was more focused on well, after I had that nice session with you.
I'm not hearing you anymore. Wonder why. Hmm.
I know why, because I switched the, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I had switch. So as far as homework, I totally missed that because what I focused last week was on switching, dealing with my junk basically, but switching that, the thing that we do in Melchizedek, from one thing to the other. And even, you know, that session that I had with you, which I didn't write it up, but it was about exchanging that pain that I had with God peace, and Him being the one that He's in control, and just be at peace about it, and not be so concerned about being everything to everybody, you know. And so that was brilliant. I mean, that was such a relief, to have that. But I didn't embody the beings. I didn't do that part. I didn't see that in the homework. I need to look at it again, actually.
Well, it's about embodying your true self, your
Oh,
heavenly self.
okay.
That's
Okay.
the
Then
point.
I think I did practice last week. It was painful, but I was sort of like going for that interview. I did not want to do it. Like, no. I even canceled it. Then I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta redo it. So I went and resubmitted the application to get for the interview.
How funny.
But you know what, you were talking and that session that we just had together about that white suit that looked like a doctor and very feminine. What I got out of there and is that I'm going back there because I'm going to deal with those triggers. And I will be able to heal even further and then turn around and help others and heal that feminine side of me. That's why the suit was looking so feminine, because that feminine side of me is what the Lord is trying to heal completely, which is what is my ministry about,
That's
you know.
awesome.
So that's very
Awesome.
interesting.
Very cool.
Awesome. Awesome.
I quickly want to share a huge victory
Okay.
testimony. You know that I haven't been living in my house for 10 months.
Oh, I didn't know.
And um,
Uh,
last weekend on Friday, my husband left suddenly to work overseas. And he asked me to live in the house with the children while he's away
Oh,
indefinitely.
wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
Renelle and I saw this happening many, 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 many months ago when I was feeling very hopeless. And it just happened.
That is so awesome. Yay, Daddy.
Very
That,
cool.
that is still glitter
Yeah,
there.
I am so stunned actually at what's happening.
That is
It's
so awesome.
it is
Oh,
beyond
beautiful.
awesome actually. You know
Wow.
that
Blessed.
it everything is about the territory.
That's some glitter there.
When
You got
you
going on.
invite somebody to stay in your house and you don't say until February, that means you can stay there indefinitely.
Yes. Well, that's awesome to hear
Hey.
that, darling.
Very cool.
Yes, so
Yeah,
I just want to give a lot of praise to our heavenly team. The one that Renal and I share, she's not here tonight, but we have such an awesome team, and Renal is very good at instructing them, and they are meticulously following orders and doing such an awesome job. And another reason to say, they are real. It's not just our imagination. And, some people sometimes tell me, all you need is Jesus, nothing more. And I'm like, wrong.
I mean, he's the key. Without him, there is nothing. But
Nothing happens without him.
we all need each other. We were all created for a purpose. Every heavenly being, every person, everyone was for a reason. And so we do need each other, and it's okay to say that.
Yeah. And in doing that, we all upgrade.
Yes, 100%.
Wow,
It's
yes.
not just a game, like Candy Crush. How am I gonna get this day to pass? Oh, let's play a game. It's not like that. It is
Yeah.
much more meaningful and purposeful and functional.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's cool.
beautiful.
Well,
Nice.
guys, how about we end a little bit early and let Janina go to bed?
Yes,
Okay.
homie.
Blow that vuvuzela.
Yeah.
What's it called? Can you type it in the chat, the name?
Sure.
It's so
Vuvuzela.
interesting that I actually saw this trumpet and that is shocking.
Did it come up?
You should Google
Oh.
it actually. Vuvuzela. They will
Yeah.
show
Oh no,
you.
I know how to spell it. It doesn't. My keyboard is for some reason. Oh, there it
Stuck.
goes. Yeah.
Here,
Oh,
Vuvuzela.
Vuvuzela. That is so funny.
I
Vuvuzela.
know. I don't think it's English. I think what is it? Zulu, Xhosa.
Vuvuzela.
Is Zulu. Is Zulu.
It's
Everything is Zulu in South
That
Africa.
is
it's
so.
Zulu.
Majority, majority
We
of
have
them.
11 national languages.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And now they just made a sign language the 12th one.
Which one? Oh, love.
That's funny.
It yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you
Cool.
for mentioning
Okay,
it.
Vuvuzela,
I
friends.
forget about the 12th one.
Yeah, the 12th one is a sign language.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, have an awesome evening or day, depending on where you are. And
Thank
Okay,
you.
darling.
we love you. We'll see you later, okay?
Bye-bye.
Looking
Bye,
Love you.
forward to
team.
see you all
Bye-bye.
progressing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.